show, guys, and today I'm reviewing Deathloop. It's Arkane Studios' new first-person action-adventure game that draws heavy inspiration from some of their previous titles, such as Prey and the Dishonored franchise. I am a huge fan of both, and with Deathloop's unique storyline where you're constantly reliving the same day and trying to break its loop, I couldn't wait to jump in and experience whatever Arkane's crazy new world had in store for me. I just finished it, clocking in 27 hours, with several of those taking place in the game's PvP element, where you get to invade other players' single-player game if they're playing in online mode and try and kill them. Lots to cover here, guys, and I can't wait to tell you all about it. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe and bell button below and join me for all my future reviews, and let's check out Deathloop. Thanks for joining me, guys. And before we start digging into what Deathloop is and what I thought of it, I think it's worth asking ourselves why we play video games. Why not read a book or a comic or watch a TV show or a movie? For me, it's because I want to be there. I want to do the things and get immersed in whatever world I'm in and experience all it has to offer on that level. It's something all the other mediums deliver to some degree, but nothing like I've experienced in gaming. And the reason I'm asking you to ask yourself that question is because Deathloop offers a particular experience here that's deeply tied within the fabric of its gameplay and story that one could totally miss out on if it's approached too aggressively or as if it's just like other Arkane titles. Now, it's not completely unlike their other games. They always have a ton of player choice, and depending on how far you want to go down the rabbit hole, a wide variety of gameplay elements to tackle. Those aspects are all present here too, but Deathloop did something different. And since finishing it, I don't see anybody talking about it from this perspective. So let's get right into it, starting with its gameplay. You wake up beachside, alone, with no memory of who you are, where you're at, or why you're there, and enter the world of Deathloop. Trapped, living in the same day over and over, you slowly start piecing together answers to try and understand what the hell's going on, all while being hunted by this mysterious assassin who's trying to kill you. It's an attractive premise, guys, and it pulled me into the game's world immediately and held a tight grip all the way through. And what was most unique about Deathloop was the actual experience I had playing the main character as he underwent what I call his waking up process. And I want to start here because despite all other aspects of the gameplay, at the end of the day, the overarching experience that carried me through and made the gameplay extremely rewarding was figuring out who I was, why I was there, and what the hell I should do about it. It's not an easy experience to lean into either. For a long period of time, you don't get clear answers. There's a ton of reading and audio tapes to listen to that explain a lot, but even those aren't discovered in an order that makes sense at first. The game also makes it extremely easy to plow from one objective marker to the next, so you really gotta pull yourself away from mindlessly following the next mission beacon. If you do make the effort to explore its world, be creative, and discover all it has to offer, it will definitely reward you for doing so. Even then though, the game keeps you in the dark for at least half of it before truly revealing things. Honestly, it was confusing, difficult to connect to, and at times frustrating to the point that I wasn't even sure I liked this shit. But at some point around 15 hours in, all those emails, notes, and letters I'd read, all the audio tapes I'd listened to, and clues I'd found, and loops I'd lived through, came crashing together, forming this spider web of information with me at the center, where things started making sense, and I felt super empowered to push forward in the game. I'll never forget where I was in the game at that moment either. The experience going from feeling confused and frustrated to understanding and being motivated, it was profound as hell, guys. For a while, what I thought was just poor game design turned out to be this thoroughly crafted experience where I felt like I had gone through what my character had gone through during this waking up process. It was abso-freaking-lutely badass. Alongside that, your end goal is to break this crazy loop you're stuck in by killing these 8 visionaries who keep the loop going. And you're equipped with some incredible tools to get the job done. Firstly, all the mechanics you need to sneak around, such as leaning, sliding to cover, dashing, climbing buildings, or gaining entry into locations by hacking your way in or finding alternate routes, are there. You acquire some kick-ass abilities as well that allow you to teleport, go invisible, reduce damage from incoming attacks, and manipulate enemies. And all these can get upgraded and even tweaked by adding modifiers to them, which made getting around the world and fighting in combat extremely fun. The AI does struggle a bit at times, especially when there's a lot of NPCs in a small area, which was disappointing. And there's no difficulty settings outside of the game, progressively increasing how much damage the enemies dish out as you get further along. This didn't really bother me at first, but once I finished the game, I did find myself feeling resistant to another full playthrough since I couldn't increase the difficulty, so I really hope they add this in later. The one thing that did counter this issue for me was playing the game in online mode. You can turn this off and play the game completely as a single player experience, but when it's on, other players can join your game as the assassin trying to kill you and try to take you out. It took the game to a whole other level by increasing the tension and really challenging me to play at my best. How it works is, once the assassin player joins your game, you aren't allowed to leave the level you're in without either killing them or disabling this antenna that will open up all the doors so that you can escape. You get up to 3 lives to kill them, and you only have to kill them once. But here's the catch. If they do kill you 3 times, you have to completely start the current loop you're in over. Honestly, I am so grateful I kept this on, and I am completely addicted to playing the assassin and invading other players' games. You also still get all your abilities and weapons, so you end up having some truly wicked fights that are dynamic and fun as hell. I highly recommend at least trying this, if not leaving it on, because I absolutely loved it, and it totally compensated for the struggling AI. Finally, let's talk level designs, and the levels in the game are amazing for a number of reasons. First off, depending on the time of day you visit each one, morning, afternoon, evening, or night, you may not be able to access certain areas or even enemies to complete a mission and will have to come back later. There's a number of reasons this can happen too. Maybe it's a coastline entry point that's not accessible when the tides are in. Or maybe there's an event you need to sabotage but can only do it earlier in the day when it's getting set up. Or maybe there's a puzzle you need to solve but the clues needed to do so aren't visible at night when everything is covered in snow and ice. The levels are always changing throughout the day, and it's your job to tweak, manipulate things, and start new loops to get everything in the right places at the right times to kill all the visionaries and ultimately break the loop. Between your character's evolution, the fun combat in PvP, the challenging puzzles, and its ever-changing world, Deathloop's gameplay took me on this brilliantly designed adventure that even its poor AI couldn't diminish. I'm giving gameplay 5 out of 5 stars. Graphics are next, and the game takes place on an island called the Isle of Blackreef, which is a super detailed and creative world that, to my surprise, had some of the best textures I've ever seen Arkane use in any of their games. The physics in the game were great as well, traversing its world, using your abilities, kicking enemies off cliff sides, all felt and looked super good, and they even pulled off making the 60s look cool, which I didn't think could be done. I do wish the game had more wow moments graphically, and this is actually a big complaint that I have about the visuals. Not that it didn't have me looking around and taking it all in at times, it did, but the world just felt static, where some good effects could have really drawn me into the experience more. You know, like when sun shafts hit just right as you turn a corner, or the smoke from a grenade gets whisked along as an enemy runs through it, or I don't know, your character shows signs of being cold when it's literally freezing outside on a remote island that's covered in snow at night. Again, the game is gorgeous overall, it just missed some low-hanging fruit that, in my opinion, could have taken Arkane's typical cartoony look that I'm not the biggest fan of and bumped it up to the next level. Still, it is a beautiful world. I'm giving graphics 4 out of 5 stars. Audio's up next, and the soundtrack has a great variety of tunes that fit the game's vibe and tap into that 1960s influence. I did, however, keep getting this audio glitch where the music would constantly cut in and out during fights, which was super annoying. It would go away for a while and then come back later, so I'm not sure if this has been fixed or not, but man, it was frustrating as hell when it happened. Sound effects were incredible though, and the weapons were the highlight for me, which were super punchy and had some real meat to them. Just listen to that shit, guys. They all sounded great, and there was some excellent enemy feedback sounds to support them, so they did an awesome job here. My only complaint here was the run-of-the-mill NPC voice lines. Not only did the AI repeat the same shit over and over, but when I had more than a handful searching for me, sometimes there'd be 5 of them saying the same lines over and over, which was just bad.
Better not be cold.
What?
Someone there?
Cold. Someone Hello? Someone there? Better not be cold. Better not be cold.
Whoa, someone there?
Better not be cold. Better not be cold.
This did rarely occur, but with the struggles the AI had already, making them sound like dipshits on a broken record did not help here. Despite those couple issues, the audio was great overall. I'm giving it 4 out of 5 stars. Story's up next, and I've already covered enough about the premise, which I'll leave at that. What I haven't touched on though is just how quirky and charming the 2 main characters are and how fun it was being part of their banter. There was some real comedy between the two that constantly put a smile on my face and made me laugh. And although the game has 7 other visionaries you need to kill to break the loop, these 2 were the highlight of the story for me and really made uncovering the mysteries of the loop and who you were worth every bit of work it requires from you. And like I mentioned, it often requires a lot, yo. But with these 2 lightening things up, it made the loop grind fun to get through as you slowly put its masterfully crafted puzzle back together. I'm giving story 5 out of 5 stars. Settings are up, and let's start with the key rebinds, which were great. WASD, ESDF, and mouse and numpad can all get rebound without issue. Moving on to video and graphics, which are both located under visuals, and everything was great here. You get all the video settings needed, including an FOV slider, and there's an FPS limiter down at the bottom here, which is on 60 by default, so be sure to bump that up to 120, which is the max in-game if you have a monitor that's capable. Graphics can be found under advanced settings, and you get a ton of options to tweak as needed. I didn't see anything missing of importance here, so everything looked good. Audio's up next, and this was perfect. You get a master music, sound effects, and voice style to tweak to your liking. And lastly, our gameplay options, which were good. You get some great options to adjust head bobbing, leaning, and crosshair features. Unfortunately, there's no colorblind modes, which is just bullshit for a AAA game coming from Arkane, but everything else was here that you need. You even get a dedicated HUD tab to customize subtitles and really dig into what you want on your screen under the subsequent HUD tab, which was really cool. So, settings were almost perfect. I'm giving them 5 out of 5 stars. Let's give it a final score, guys, and I absolutely loved Deathloop. Being part of the main character's process, going from knowing nothing to piecing together this twisted time loop and eventually being able to answer what the hell's going on, who you are, and why you're there. It was awesome and was only boosted by its combat, cool puzzles, and a fun as hell PvP element that I was surprised to enjoy so damn much, but it is kick-ass. I'm giving Deathloop 4 out of 5 stars. It was almost a 5-star too, you guys. If the AI would have been better, or if there would have been more wow moments graphically, or if that damn audio glitch hadn't kept happening where my music was cutting in and out. Despite those shortcomings, it is a badass game that I highly recommend, especially if you're open to and get into its PvP. All right, that's it guys. Thanks for joining me. If you enjoyed the review, please give me a like below. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe and bell button to join me for all my future reviews. There's gonna be a Patreon link right here in just a second if you'd like to support the channel. I would love to have you part of my community and your support, so please check that out, and I will see you on the next Gurhm's Garage. GG.